Ross. All right, so this guy every week we go to the road course at Indy, and dude takes the shortcut or the long route, and I don't know, makes it a shortcut. What would you? I know that everybody's got an opinion over what we saw at the end of the race with him trying to make turn one, slows down with everybody else. He's on the brakes, and then right at the last second, he just gets off the brakes and says, "I'm just going to go forward and through the Joker lane."
Well, you saying he's on the brakes?
He was on the brakes, Mike, slowing down for turn one, and then he let off the brakes and went into the access road.
Slowed down like a fat kid at a salad bar. He slowed down. He didn't slow down. He went head first into that access road.
I know that, but he was on the brakes. Do we want a replay of that so Mike can see this? Because Matthew's like, Jesus, Mike, do you not pay attention?
Do you not watch the race?
Right.
Like, no offense, but like the last week, I thought you had valid points, but Lord,
No, you guys.
Lord
Stop.
have mercy.
All right, anyways.
Whoa, stop. Okay. We're not going to sit here and debate what none of us know too much if he was on the brakes or not. I'm telling you,
I do.
I would love
There's
to know
SMT.
what.
There's SMT and there's information.
Okay.
And,
How fast do you think he hit the access road?
probably
100?
I don't know. I mean, it's fast.
It was fast, right? So, like, when people hit the brakes, hit the brakes to make the turn, they got to slow down way more than that, right?
He was slowing down to go into the corner, Mike. He wasn't.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I'm saying. You got to slow down to make that corner. He had no intention to make that corner, though.
yeah, he did.
Well, he didn't act like it.
All right. This is what happened, Mike, okay? Can I just tell you what happened?
Now, remember, you were wrong about what you thought you saw. Y'all, going back to what you said, that contact last week at Pocono wasn't nearly what you thought it was. You guys got insulting a little bit last week, and
You said they didn't even hit.
But I also conceded that part when I watched the replay, didn't I?
All right.
But you didn't, and so
Do we want to go through this whole process
No.
again?
Listen. I'm watching the race just like you guys are watching the race, and there's plenty of people watching the race that all have different opinions on
Yes,
it.
sir.
Just respect everybody's opinion.
All right.
Let's start there.
Right.
And I'm telling you that I did not see a valid attempt to make that corner.
Yeah.
You know, usually when you see people miss their corner, they're going to bounce around a little bit and then go drive around, but
Yeah.
you've slowed down so much. This guy hit it fast.
He did. So I think Ross mentioned in his post-race interview that he had went through there in practice, unintentionally missing turn one, and he had to take that route in practice. So he was aware of it, right? And for him, I think for him to mention that in his post-race interview tells us all that it was possibly something he absolutely knew was an option before he got down to turn one, right? And so I think as I'm watching data and all the things that are available to me, when they get the green flag for that final restart, Ross has every intention of going through turn one properly. We get down in the braking zone. He's still on that same plan. We get about 80% into that braking zone where he's really got to make that decision of I'm going this way or I'm not, and he chooses plan B. In that final few moments, he realizes I'm on the far left side. I've got 6 cars to my inside and several rows deep. I mean, it's impossible. There's no way that he goes through this corner without having to go through the grass, get off track, get possibly spun around, whatever, right? I think he makes the absolute correct choice in going straight because that corner is a terribly designed corner in my opinion. Yeah. All right? For us to have restarts and you're not going to no one's going to be able to say there's no way that you can stop these drivers from trying to get everything they can get. All right? And so there is some respect issues for sure, but there's all this asphalt and there's all these opportunities to try to get down in the corner. They're going to do everything they can do.
Yeah.
And so that, in my opinion, comes down to the track design, right? There being so much room, so much area that these guys, it's really an issue with how the track is designed in that area that's creating all these problems, right, for restarts. And so you're trying to funnel such a wide racetrack where the guys can get to 5 and 6 wide down into a 1 or 2 wide area and it isn't happening. It's not realistic to expect that to be, that to work every time. And so, anyhow, Ross, in my opinion, makes the best choice that he could possibly make. And so he goes straight and comes out racing for the lead, in the lead, right? Racing side by side with the 8.
With one of the most amazing displays of driving after he came out,
Yeah.
to make that pass was insane
Yeah.
driving skill.
And so he then he gets docked 30 seconds. Other guys went through there earlier in the day. Didn't get docked 30 seconds. I think a few went through there.
Day before, too.
Yeah.
In timeout on that, did you knew that? Like, you saw that, you as the broadcaster and been working all weekend, you guys had seen people doing that all weekend, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
There were several times on restarts where just out of the corner of your eye, you'd see on the far right side of the screen, you'd see something just slip through, right? And we didn't call it because we start focusing on the battle through turns 2, 3, and 4, right? You can't start talking about stuff that's not on the screen, and you're not really sure which car it was anyways. But so there were, like Matthew said, there were several instances throughout the weekend where guys used that access road, and I don't think that everyone or anyone else had received a penalty. I know that's one of those areas, that's one of those situations where NASCAR makes a judgment call. They made a choice, like, we have to do something here, or they felt compelled to do something. I'm not saying that NASCAR's decision was wrong. I'm just surprised that it came to that. I'm surprised that the access was actually as quick or quicker than taking the necessary racing line. That, to me, is something that just should never happen. It shouldn't even be close, right? It shouldn't even be. You shouldn't ever have a design in a racetrack where you're like, well, this could be better if they went through this area, and if we're not making them stop, right, to serve a penalty in turn 12, right? Because there was no rule if they went through this access in turn 1. Now, if they missed the course and went into the grass, they had to stop in turn 12 to serve a penalty. But if they take this access road, they did not have to stop.
That was the problem, is that the design being one thing. I mean, listen, I'm never going to knock the design of Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but I will say this. There wasn't a clear, defined rule about taking that access road at that point after all these people had been doing it all weekend, apparently. TJ said Austin Dillon did it all day on Saturday. So then there could have been some definition to that rule to where you're not having to make a judgment call on the last lap of the Cup race.
Yeah. Maybe that's as simple as that, is they don't even need to redesign that part of the racetrack. Just say, hey, man, you go through here to stop and go in turn 12, just like every other part of the track if you cut it.
That fixes it.
There you
exactly. Go. Now, when that happened, so you had seen drivers do that all weekend. So now put yourself back in the booth on the last lap. You guys are calling the race. When that happened, did you expect Ross to be penalized at that point? And then NASCAR took a while before they even made a ruling on it. They ran most of that lap before they even made a call on it.
Yeah.
Were you guys confused up in the booth?
No.
I mean, what were y'all thinking?
No. The feedback in social media land and other places is, why did it take so long for us to learn what was going on? Well, that's how long it takes to make some of those decisions. And it wasn't that NASCAR had that information and was withholding it, but it does have to come from NASCAR race control all the way to our booth. We have to validate that information and make sure it's correct, and then we don't want to put out something that's wrong. NASCAR has to correct us, and so then we get the information. We're not withholding it for 30 seconds or 45 seconds, waiting on an opportunity to slip it in there. As soon as we get it and we feel good about it, we put it out there, and I wasn't so. In those moments, I don't know why, but I can be patient. If a penalty's coming down and it's 2 laps to go, 1 lap to go, and there's an issue, obvious situation with what we saw with Ross, I can be patient for NASCAR to make a decision or decide what the decision is, and if that's even after the race. so be it.
So you're calling, you guys have to call the race. That was the race for the win right there between those two.
Yeah.
And until further notice, until a decision is made, you're calling the race for the win right there between Ross and Tyler Reddick.
Yeah.
No questions asked. I know that there was just skepticism on whether that was going to in fact be the race for the win. What do you do if you're Tyler Reddick? And I think they had this incident just last year, right, at Indy when Christopher Bell.
What do you do if you're Tyler Reddick?
Well, if didn't the leader get wrecked by somebody that was actually penalized and their card was pulled?
Briscoe
and Denny Hamlin.
Briscoe, I said Christopher Bell, Briscoe. So I don't know if you're Tyler Reddick, you race.
Well, you have to
what.
because
You have
Cindric
to.
was right behind them.
That's right. Cindric was right behind.
So I mean,
That's
Tyler's
right.
trying not to get past with Cindric, and he's probably
That's true.
not sure whether the one's legit or not. So he's got to do what he's got to do, and he did a great job. Ross didn't have the pace that the 8 car had. He made I love the idea that Ross, even though he knows his car is not quite as good, was like, I'm gonna throw this up in there and I'm gonna see if I can steal a win. I love that. A lot of guys, myself included, when you race and you're like running all day long, just getting your butt kicked by a handful of other cars, you kind of start to feel like, man, a top 5 would be pretty good today, and in it unconsciously you are settling, right? You unconsciously you get off the offense and more on the defense.
Gotcha.
And try to protect this potential top 5 result I might get, right? Where Ross never is like that. Ross is always like win, every lap, right? He's driving around there going more, faster, pass, win. And Mike.
Access road. Cut through the pits.
Fucking
Cut to the garage.
Yeah.
Cut to the campground.
Right. Hey, guys, I'm here to tell you 3 reasons why I love our sponsor, Tire Pros. Number 1, Tire Pros loves cars as much as I do. Number 2, they have great service. Number 3, they're committed to getting you back out on the road. Plus, they've got this really cool logo.
Dale, that's 4 reasons.
And they have over 600 locations, 24/7 roadside assistance, a great selection, and a best-in-class tire warranty. Tire Pros, love the drive.